Are you and your significant other both entrepreneurs? Whether you run a business together or if you each run separate businesses, you are who we would call a couplepreneur. And if that's you, we want to welcome you to one of the only places on the internet that is specifically designed for you. We call it the Couplepreneurs Show. This is the place where we reverse engineer the success of some of today's most influential power couples in business, as well as share some of our own stories and challenges and the things that we've overcome together as two entrepreneurs in one relationship.
That's right. If you're still getting to know us, my name is Ariel, and this is my husband, Kyle.
She's the pretty one.
That's not
We all
true.
know this. It's very true.
You have the hair, though.
I know, but you have the everything.
Oh, that was sweet.
There you go.
We have now, at this point, spent over a decade behind the scenes helping businesses scale by 6 and 7 figures. We've been able to help our clients generate over $77 million online across a variety of different industries. And we have now been together for over a decade, and we have both been entrepreneurs the whole time. That means that we've had the opportunity to experience many of the blessings as well as the curses of what we will call couplepreneurship. At this point now, we've had the privilege of training thousands of other entrepreneur couples and conducted hundreds of different coaching sessions with entrepreneurial couples from the, just starting out in business phase all the way up to the 8-figure CEO level, helping them grow successful businesses while staying aligned as a couple in the process. We give all the glory to God for any of the credentials that we share with you in this show, but we do want to share them just to raise your confidence in who you're learning from and the information that you're going to hear us talk about on this show specifically. Now, you may be wondering, why did we create this podcast? Well, for us, being an entrepreneur couple over, over a decade now, we've learned pretty quickly that there's not a lot of people that really get us and really get the unique blessings and curses of being a couple in business. Not a lot of people understand what it's like to, have the blessings, right? Where you have somebody that you can dream together with. You have somebody that you can share the ups and downs in business with. You have a shared language. You both understand what you're talking about when you talk about ROI and KPIs and all the different things. You have a partner that supports you and can cheer you on when it feels like the world is against you. And quite honestly, you have a built-in team member sometimes that can, you can divvy up tasks with. It can cover more ground than the average entrepreneur can do alone. So those are some of the blessings. There are also, as you may have found, some curses as well. So many people don't understand some of those unique challenges, like how do you turn off work mode when you are solving problems all day and now you have to go be a romantic couple, right? How do you and your partner leverage each other's different strengths and sometimes even the weaknesses and different energetic approaches to work in order to maximize your results in business? And how do you talk to your partner about some of those more complex topics, like what business strategy are we going to prioritize next? Where are we going to invest our money next? How do we optimize our time together and make sure that we're not just working all the time, we actually have quality time together? How do we give feedback to each other without worrying about hurting the other person's feelings? And a little bit deeper, how do we express sometimes those hidden desires for romantic preferences when, sometimes you have to go from being just business partners to being intimate partners as well? These are some of the challenges that we faced early on in our marriage. And instead of having a honeymoon phase, which is what most people have when they get married, some of these unique challenges really plunged us into what we call the anti-honeymoon phase.
Yeah, I want you guys to just picture this, right? Ariel and I were both entrepreneurial the entire time that we were together. And we were attracted to each other's entrepreneurial drive all the way up to basically us getting married. So if you could just picture us getting married in the Bahamas, which was like our dream wedding. We had our family there. We got married on the beach. The ocean was behind us. The sun was shining. And no joke, the clouds literally parted when we said our vows.
It's true.
You would think that everything was just going to get better from there. But that was so far from the truth. After we got married, we basically came home and Ariel ran her business on one side of the house. I ran my business on the other side of the house. And very, very quickly, we started experiencing some really complex tension in our relationship. It became very apparent that Ariel's idea of what a dream life would look like was very different than what mine was. Yeah. And even though we had businesses in a similar field, we were still different in a lot of ways. Yeah. She had an organic marketing coaching business. I had a digital marketing consulting business. We were working with different types of clientele, but we were talking about the same things almost every single day. Like we were talking about marketing and niche selection and ROI and messaging and social media from sun up to sundown. And I don't know if you guys have ever been there before, but when you talk about business for 12 hours a day, every single day, what you might experience is some of the tension that a lot of entrepreneur couples face when this happens, which is, if we're always talking about business, when do we have time to actually be romantic partners?
Yeah.
How do we actually navigate these challenges, especially in a world where nobody else is talking about this dynamic? Right. Nobody. We didn't have a podcast like this. We didn't have a community like the ones that we created. And that is what drives us to do this today. Because in that moment, when Ariel and I were experiencing the tension, it got so bad that we would start to compete with one another. We would start to try to one up one another. We would try to basically prove to one another that our time was more valuable than the other person. So therefore, like, who's going to do the dishes? Yeah. Who's going to do the laundry? Who's going to take out the trash? Who's going to do the errands? Who's going to do the shopping, when both of our time is extremely valuable and important?
Yeah.
These were just some of the things that we navigated early on in our relationship. We had nowhere else to turn to. And because of that, I thought the solution at the time was to just make Ariel my assistant, which, as you can tell, for those of you that are watching on video, you can tell by her expression that was not the right option. But I thought that was the right move. I thought that as the man, maybe it would be the best thing for me to do, is to bring her into my business. She can help me run marketing campaigns for some of the 8-figure CEOs that were my clients at the time. But that caused even more tension. That caused even more fighting, because she did not want that. That is not what she was designed for. And I will never forget the day that changed everything for us. It was a day where I went to a guest room in our house. I got on my knees just over the bed and just started praying out to God for an answer, because everything we were trying at the time did not work. Yeah. Like our love languages, like that wasn't working. Like trying to attend to that, divvying up our schedule wasn't working. A lot of the traditional advice that was given to us just was not working. So I just remember just praying out to God going, how do we make this work? Yeah. How do we make this work without sacrificing our marriage for the business? And how do we make this work without sacrificing our calling in business for our marriage? I'll just never forget just praying. And then I got up from that bed and I did what nobody should do when they're looking for solutions. And that is, I got on social media. So I got on Facebook and I saw Ariel, who was doing a live video helping other people market their business using organic marketing. And in that moment, I was watching her live video and I saw all of these comments from women all over the world that were telling Ariel, thank you. Thank you for sharing your gifts with the world. Thank you for helping me go from working a full-time job to being able to start my business and be home with my family. And I was reading all of these comments and I'm going, oh my gosh, if I was to make Ariel my assistant, I would literally be depriving the world from the gifts that God gave her to shine. And I'll never forget that day, because it completely changed the trajectory of our life. I ran out of the room, and when Ariel was done with her live video, I came up to her and I was like, I am so sorry for trying to make you my assistant. I do not ever want to put any sort of barrier between you and the gifts that are going to impact other people. Mm-hmm. And in that moment, we asked ourselves a question that changed our life forever, which was this: how are we able to take our individual passions and point them towards a unified purpose? Yeah. How can we come together in unity without sacrificing our uniqueness in the process? Yeah. And that started an entire new journey for us. We, just by trial and error, started to change the way that we approached our days. We started changing the ways we approached our dates. We started changing the ways that we approached every single aspect of life. And it didn't happen overnight, but slowly and surely, we started to see some radical changes in our relationship. We started becoming more unified than ever before. We started feeling more like each other's biggest fans versus like competitors. We started leveraging each other's strengths, and we just started experimenting and figuring out what works and what doesn't to actually have a thriving relationship while our businesses continue to grow. Yeah. And you want to know what's funny? Not only did we take more time off and go on more date nights than ever before, but as a result of this, we actually watched our business go from being completely plateaued revenue-wise to skyrocketing.
Shocker.
Isn't that crazy? It's so wild, because as they say, you don't have business problems, you have personal problems that show up in the business. And when you get this part right, everything else shifts. And we saw that for the first time. My business literally 3x'd in revenue. And Ariel went from having just a handful of clients at the time to having more than 25 clients in a very short amount of time. And the cool thing is we were going on more date nights than ever. So as you do, when we were going on date nights, we were posting stories on Facebook and Instagram, which is, if you go on a date night and you don't post it, did it really happen?
Did it happen?
No. And as we were posting these stories, we would get messages from other couples essentially saying, Kyle and Ariel, how in the world do you make this work?
Yeah.
How do you actually navigate being two entrepreneurs in one relationship and actually be happy and actually grow businesses and not sacrifice what matters most?
There's not a ton of those examples these days,
No,
apparently.
Apparently not. And in that moment, it became kind of apparent to Ariel and I that there was a whole new opportunity that opened up for us. And now we believe it's our calling. So what we started doing is started helping other couples very, very quickly navigate these complex challenges. And as a result, that one little spark has now flamed into a bonfire where we now get to serve and coach entrepreneur couples from all over the world. So we've had the privilege of having hundreds of coaching sessions and thousands of conversations with entrepreneur couples from all over the world. And we've clearly gotten to see what works and what doesn't work.
Yeah.
And as a result, some crazy things started to happen.
Yeah.
You remember that?
Yeah.
Yeah. So essentially, we had clients that were able to go from, just kind of puttering along in their business to skyrocketing their revenue, enjoying more revenue and having more fun with each other in the process.
And more intimacy.
And more intimacy. That's right. Because as we said, when you fix the couplepreneur dynamic, everything else in business becomes easier.
Yeah.
But if you don't fix the couplepreneur dynamic, well, even the success in your business can sometimes feel like a failure. So we've made it our mission to take the lessons that we've learned over the last decade and all of the conversations that we've had with some amazing entrepreneur couples and distill them into bite-sized episodes to release to you guys to equip and empower you to be the power couple that you were meant to be.
That's right.
So what can you expect from this show? If you are the types of people who like unfiltered, very tactical, very practical advice on how to do certain things, then this show is for you. So for example, if you want to discover proven strategies for growing businesses together as a couple, this show is for you. If you want to learn how to communicate and make decisions as a couple without one person feeling criticized or stepped on, this show is for you. If you want to create and keep boundaries between your work life and your family life, this show is for you. If you and your significant other want to align your vision and feel fully unified on a day-to-day basis without sacrificing your uniqueness in the process, this show is for you. If you want to optimize and leverage your roles in business without stepping on each other's toes, and you want to keep the spark and the romance alive despite how busy your schedule gets, this show is for you. Because I believe that if you decide to tune into the episodes that you're about to experience in this show, and you implement the strategies that we teach, not only will your business grow, not only will your relationship continue to thrive, but I believe that you are going to step into a whole new level of being a power couple that gets the attention of almost every single person in every environment you walk into from this point forward. And I say that because you already know how rare it is to see a couple that is aligned. You already know how rare it is to see a couple that is happy.
Yeah.
So when you show up and you and your significant other are aligned and fully leveraging and maximizing your potential, sharing your individual gifts and passions and pointing them towards a unified purpose, nothing can stop you. And that is why we created the Couplepreneurs Show.
That's right. So if you're interested in joining us on this journey, go ahead and hit the subscribe button so you don't miss out on new episodes, and leave us a review so other couples in business can find the information that we share here. Thank you for joining us on this journey and for showing the world that you can have a thriving business and a thriving relationship at the same time. We will see you back here again soon.